I wanted to surprise my son at the company I built for him. But when I got to his office door, I heard my daughter-in-law whisper, "Are you sure he won't notice the 5 million, my son, my own son?" He laughed and said, "My father is a stupid old man. He won't check a thing." I froze. They thought I was a fool. They didn't know I was about to become their worst nightmare. Before I tell you how I brought their entire world crashing down, I want to know where you're watching from. Tell me in the comments. And please hit that like button and subscribe. You are not going to want to miss the ending to this. My name is Gregory Stone, but my friends just call me Greg. I'm 70 years old. That morning I was driving my Mercedes S-Class, the one luxury I allowed myself after 40 years of hard work. The Atlanta sun was hitting the skyline, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Pure, simple pride. Today was my son Nathan's 42nd birthday. It's hard, you know. When you lose your partner, my wife Carol, she's been gone 5 years now. Cancer took her too fast. After she passed the company, Stone Logistics, it became everything I had left. I started this company with nothing but one rusty flatbed truck and a second mortgage on our house. Carol was the one who answered the phones in our tiny kitchen, bouncing baby Nathan on her knee. Now Stone Logistics is worth $50 million. We have warehouses all across the Southeast. It's my legacy, and Nathan was the heir to all of it. He was smart. He had the MBA from Emory, the sharp suits, the confident smile. Our daughter Emily, she was different, gentle. She chose to be a teacher, which I respected. But Nathan was the one destined to take over the empire. 2 years ago, I made it official. I stepped back from the day-to-day grind and made Nathan the chief operating officer, the COO. I was still the CEO, the owner, but he was running the show. I trusted him. You have to trust your own son, right? Today, I was finally going to make the transition feel complete. Sitting on the passenger seat in a dark blue velvet box was a Patek Philippe Calatrava, a classic, the kind of watch a real CEO wears. When he graduated college, I'd pointed to one in a magazine and told him, "One day, son, when you've earned it." Today was that day. I pulled into my private parking spot at the headquarters. The building was still new, all glass and steel, a long way from our kitchen telephone. I nodded to the security guard, Frank, who's been with me for 20 years. "Good morning, Mr. Stone. Surprising the boy today?" he asked. "You know it, Frank?" I smiled. I took the elevator up to the top floor, the executive suite. The carpet was thick, the air quiet. I walked down the hall past my old office, which I'd given to Nathan. His name was on the door in brushed steel, Nathan Stone, COO. I felt a lump in my throat. Carol would have been so proud. I was proud. I was ready to hand him everything. I was ready to finally go play golf, maybe buy that fishing boat I always wanted. I reached his door. It was solid oak. It was just slightly ajar. I could hear voices inside. I smiled, thinking I'd wait for a pause in his meeting. Then I heard her voice. My daughter-in-law, Jenna. Her voice was low, sharp, like broken glass. "Are you sure he won't notice?" she hissed. "It's $5 million, Nathan. 5 million. I stopped. My hand, the one holding the watch, froze halfway to the door. 5 million. What was she talking about? An investment. A bonus. And then I heard my son Nathan. He laughed. It wasn't his real laugh. It was a cold, dismissive sound. "My father is a stupid old man," he whispered. "He's too busy grieving Mom and planning his golf trips. He trusts me completely. He'll sign whatever I put in front of him. He won't check a thing." The Patek Philippe felt like a block of ice in my hand. Stupid. Old man. The words echoed in the silent hallway. They slammed into my chest, knocking the air out of me. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a joke. This was my son and his wife in the office I built, planning to steal $5 million from me. I stood there for what felt like an eternity. I could hear them still talking, their voices muffled now, planning, conspiring. I took a slow, silent step back. Then another. I turned around, my feet like lead, and walked back to the elevator, my face a mask of stone. The proud father who walked in was gone. In his place was a 70-year-old man who had just realized his life's work, his entire legacy, was in the hands of a viper he called son. I walked back through the lobby. Frank, the security guard, smiled again. "That was quick, Mr. Stone. Did he like the watch?" I couldn't speak. I just raised a hand, a weak wave, and pushed through the glass doors. The Atlanta sun was blindingly bright, but I felt cold. Colder than I'd felt since the day they told me Carol wasn't waking up. I got into the Mercedes. The leather smelled of success, of money. Now it just smelled like a trap. I drove. I don't remember the route. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Stupid old man. 40 years I'd spent building Stone Logistics. 40 years of missed dinners, of working weekends, of taking risks that almost broke us all to build something for him. For Nathan. For the son who now saw me as a fool. An obstacle. A wallet to be drained. I arrived at my house in Buckhead. It's too big for one man. Carol loved this house. Since she passed, it's just been quiet. Empty rooms filled with ghosts and memories. Nathan and Jenna visited, sure. They'd come for Sunday dinner. Jenna would compliment my cook's food while texting under the table. Nathan would ask about my golf game, his eyes vacant, already thinking about the inheritance. I saw it now. I saw it all so clearly. Their concern wasn't love. It was maintenance. They were checking on their investment, making sure the old man was still breathing, but not paying too much attention. I walked into my study. The dark blue velvet box was still in my hand, heavy as a brick. I opened it. The Patek Philippe gleamed under the light. When you've earned it. He hadn't earned it. He had spat on it. I opened the heavy steel door of my safe hidden behind a portrait of Carol, and I placed the watch inside. I didn't slam it. I closed it softly. The heavy thud of the bolt locking felt final. I sat at my desk, the desk I'd run my empire from for decades, and I forced my breathing to slow down. My first instinct was rage. To call him, to scream, to fire him, to throw him out on the street. But that's what the stupid old man would do. That's what a confused, emotional, grieving widower would do. That's what he expected me to do. No. The man who built Stone Logistics from nothing. That man was cold. That man was strategic. That man knew you don't show your hand until you hold all the cards. If Nathan wanted to play a game where my life's work was the prize, I would teach him how it's played. I picked up the phone. I waited until my hand was perfectly steady. I dialed his number. He picked up on the second ring. Stone Logistics, Nathan Stone. Professional. Cold. Nathan. It's Dad. I forced my voice to crack just a little. I made it sound weak, reedy. The voice of an old man. I'm sorry I didn't make it over for your birthday, son. I just got tired. This old house, it felt empty. I heard it. The unmistakable sound of relief. A small, sharp sigh he tried to cover up. Oh, Dad. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Are you feeling all right? You sound tired. Yes, just old, I guess. I let the silence hang, letting him fill it. You know, Nathan, I continued, I've been thinking a lot about what you've been saying, about me taking a step back. You have? His voice was eager now, too eager. Yes, maybe you're right. Maybe it's time for me to just rest. I think Carol would have wanted that. Well, Dad, that's great. That's really great. You deserve it. And don't you worry about a thing. And then he said it. The lie. The beautiful, perfect, damning lie. You should be proud. Things here are fantastic. I just landed the biggest contract of the quarter. $5 million. A new client called Apex Global Solutions. Apex Global Solutions. The same name. The same 5 million. He wasn't just hiding it. He was bragging about it. He was rubbing my nose in it, convinced I was too stupid to connect the dots. Wow, son, I said, playing my part to perfection. 5 million. That's incredible. Apex Global, never heard of them. Must be one of your new tech clients. Exactly, Dad, he said, the condescension dripping from his voice. It's a new logistics vertical, very complex. I'm handling it all personally. You just rest. Enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. Thank you, son. That means a lot. Happy birthday. I hung up the phone. I was no longer grieving. I was no longer sad. I was at war. I knew the lie. I knew the amount. And I knew the name of the fake company. Apex Global Solutions. My son thought I was a stupid old man. He had no idea I was about to rip his entire world apart, starting with that name. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark study replaying the words over and over. Stupid old man. 5 million. Apex Global. I put on one of my older suits, one that felt comfortable, not powerful. I wanted to look the part Nathan had assigned me. I drove to the office and arrived at 7 a.m. just as the sun was hitting the glass of the building. My building. I walked through the lobby and the few early employees who saw me looked surprised. Mr. Stone, good to see you, a young woman from accounting said. I just nodded, trying to look frail like I was wandering. My target was Mike Sullivan's office. Mike Sullivan has been my chief financial officer for 30 years. We were partners in all but name. We started this company together when we were both in our 40s, both taking a risk. He's 65 now, just 5 years younger than me. He's the most honest man I've ever known, a numbers man, a straight shooter. He was the godfather to Emily. He held Nathan as a baby. He was in his office as I knew he would be. He's always the first one in. The man lives and breathes for Stone Logistics. Mike, I said softly from his doorway. He looked up, his glasses perched on his nose. He looked terrible. The man had aged 10 years since I last really looked at him. His shoulders were slumped, and there were dark circles under his eyes. Greg, he said, standing up, his voice filled with genuine concern. What are you doing here? I thought Nathan said you were feeling poorly. Are you all right? I'm fine, Mike. Just restless. You know how it is. I walked in and sat in the chair opposite his desk. I tried to sound casual. Listen, I was talking to Nathan yesterday. He mentioned a big new contract. Apex Global Solutions. $5 million. I just wanted to look over the paperwork. See the good news for myself. I smiled, expecting him to pull it up on his screen. Instead, Mike's face went pale. He didn't turn to his computer. He looked down at his desk, at his hands. He started fidgeting with a pen. Mike, I pressed. The Apex file. Just print me the summary. He wouldn't look at me. He whispered, Greg, I can't. The air in the room went still. What do you mean you can't? I said, my voice hardening just a fraction before I caught myself. You're the CFO. Of course you can. Mike looked up and his eyes were filled with, was it fear or shame? He stood up slowly and walked to his door, closing it with a soft click. He turned back to me, leaning against the door as if he needed the support. Nathan did it. He whispered, his voice trembling. Did what Mike talked to me. About 2 months ago, Nathan called me in for a meeting. He said he was implementing a new executive-level security protocol for sensitive new clients. He said it was on your orders, Greg. My orders. My blood ran cold. Yes. He said you were worried about leaks, that you wanted all high-value new contracts to be handled on a separate server, a private one. He said I was to handle the old books, but he would manage the new server and report directly to you. He took a shaky breath. Greg, I've been locked out. I'm the CFO, but I have no access to any new client contracts, any new payments, or any new accounts from the last 60 days. I can't see what Apex Global is. I can't see the 5 million. I can't see anything. I stared at him. The sheer brilliant treachery of it. Nathan had used my name, my authority, to blind my oldest friend. He had cut out the company's eyes and ears. And you believed him? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. Mike looked devastated. At first I argued. I told him it was madness, that it violated every rule of corporate governance. He just smiled, Greg. He smiled and said, "Are you questioning my father's direct order, Mike? I thought you were loyal." He was trapped. My son had used their 30-year friendship against him. "Greg, I'm so sorry," Mike said, his voice cracking. "I tried to talk to you, but you were on that trip to the lake. And when you got back, Nathan said that you were still grieving Carol, that you were forgetful. He told me not to bother you with the details, that he was handling it." He had been painting the picture of the stupid old man for months, paving the way. I realized this was worse than I thought. Nathan wasn't just stealing. He was conducting a coup. He had isolated me, and he had neutralized my most powerful ally. "It's not your fault, Mike," I said, standing up. "You did what you thought was right." He looked at me desperate. "Greg, what's going on? What is this Apex? What is he doing?" I put my hand on his shoulder. "That's what I'm going to find out. But for now, you say nothing. You act as if this conversation never happened. Do you understand me?" He nodded, a look of profound relief on his face. He finally had an order he could trust. I walked out of his office, my mind racing. My son had taken my CFO. He had taken my company. I had no access to my own books. It was time to play the part he had written for me. I left Mike Sullivan's office, my jaw tight. The betrayal was deeper than I imagined. Nathan hadn't just gone behind my back, he had systematically dismantled the checks and balances I had built over 30 years. He had neutralized my oldest friend. He had painted me as a grieving, forgetful old man to justify it. Stupid old man. Fine. If that's the part he wanted me to play, I would play it better than he could ever imagine. I took a deep breath, forcing the rage down, replacing it with a carefully constructed mask of fatherly confusion. I let my shoulders slump. I even practiced shuffling my feet just a little as I walked down the hall to Nathan's corner office. His assistant, a young woman named Tara, looked up. "Mr. Stone, can I help you? Nathan is in a meeting." "Oh dear," I said, putting a note of confusion in my voice. "A meeting? He didn't tell me. I just had a few questions. About, the numbers." Tara smiled, that tight, polite smile people give the elderly. "I'm sure he'll be happy to talk to you, Mr. Stone. Let me see if he's available." No, don't interrupt," I said, waving my hand dismissively. "I'll just wait." I sat on the expensive leather sofa outside his office, the one I had paid for, and I waited. I looked at the artwork on the walls, modern, abstract, cold. Jenna had picked it out. Our old office had photos of the trucks of the employees of our company picnics. Jenna had called those tacky. 5 minutes later, Nathan's door opened. He walked out with 2 men in suits I didn't recognize. They looked sharp, cold, and they didn't smile. Nathan saw me and his face tightened for a millisecond before he replaced it with that wide, fake, charming grin. "Dad, what are you doing here? I thought you were resting." He clapped me on the shoulder, a gesture that was meant to look loving, but felt like a dismissal. He turned to the men. You'll have to excuse my father. He gets restless. The men nodded at me and walked away. They didn't even shake my hand. Nathan turned back to me, ushering me into his office. Come on in, Dad. What's up? I looked around. My office. He'd redecorated. The solid oak desk Carol and I bought at an auction was gone. In its place was a sterile slab of glass and chrome. Nathan, I started, trying to sound a little lost. I was just talking to Mike, and I was curious about that new contract you mentioned. The big one. $5 million. Nathan's smile didn't waver. He walked behind his glass desk, putting it between us like a shield. Apex Global, Dad. I told you about it. It's a huge win for us. Yes, Apex, I said, fumbling with the name as if I couldn't remember it. I wanted to see the terms. You know, for old time's sake. I like to read the fine print. He laughed. It was that same cold laugh I'd heard through the door. The laugh he saved for his stupid old man. Dad, he said, in that slow, patient voice you use for a child. It's very complicated. It's not like the old trucking contracts you're used to. He leaned forward, lacing his fingers together. This is new wave logistics. It's all cloud-based. We're talking smart contracts, blockchain integrations, dynamic supply chain APIs. It's just very technical. I wouldn't want to bore you with the jargon. Blockchain, APIs. He was throwing words at me, words he thought I wouldn't understand. He didn't know I spent my evenings reading tech journals. He didn't know I was the one who first proposed integrating AI into our routing systems 5 years ago. He just saw the gray hair. Oh, I said, looking down. I see. Well, it sounds impressive, son. It is, Dad. It is. He stood up, walked around the desk, and put his arm around my shoulder, guiding me toward the door. That's why you hired me, right, to handle this new stuff so you don't have to. He was patting me on the head, metaphorically. You should really think about that trip to Florida, he said, his voice full of false concern. Jenna and I were just saying, you haven't taken a real vacation since Mom. He used her. He used the memory of my wife as a tool to get rid of me. You need to get away. He continued, opening the office door for me. Clear your head. Relax. Play some golf. Leave all this complexity to me. Trust me. There it was again. Trust me. The words he used to build my cage. I looked up at my son, my 42-year-old boy with his expensive suit and his cold, dead eyes. He was a stranger. You're right, Nathan, I said, letting my voice sound defeated. You're absolutely right. It's all too much for me these days. I'm just tired. His smile widened. He had won. The stupid old man was going to shuffle off to Florida. A trip to Florida? That's a wonderful idea, son. Maybe I'll do just that. Maybe I'll leave next week. That's great, Dad. You let me know, and I'll have Tara book the flights. First class, of course. He patted my back one last time. You just focus on your golf swing. I'll focus on making us rich. I nodded slowly. You're a good son, Nathan. I walked away from his office, shuffling my feet just enough for him to see. As I turned the corner, I let the mask drop. The frail old man disappeared. He wasn't just stealing $5 million. He was stealing my company, and he was going to use me as the excuse. I got in the elevator, my mind crystal clear. He thought he was sending me to Florida. He had no idea I was about to send him to hell. I walked out of that building, the one with my name carved on the granite facade, and I kept shuffling my feet all the way to the elevator. I nodded weakly at the receptionist. I let the security guard Frank hold the door for me, giving him a tired, grateful look. I played the part until the second my Mercedes door closed. Then the act stopped. My hands were steady on the wheel. My back was straight. The fog of the confused old man vanished, replaced by the cold, hard clarity that had built my empire. He wanted me to go to Florida. He wanted me to go play golf. I drove right past the highway entrance to Florida. I didn't go home. I drove downtown to an old brick building on LaSalle Street, the kind of building that smelled of old money law books and real loyalty. I parked in the garage across the street, not the one connected to the building. I took no chances. I went up to the 14th floor. The door was simple frosted glass that read Quinn and Associates. No steel, no flashy logo, just a name. Rebecca Quinn's name. Rebecca has been my personal lawyer for 20 years. She handled my will. She handled Carol's estate. She set up my trusts. She is 50 years old, sharp as a diamond, and she sees everything. She never worked for Stone Logistics. She worked for me, Gregory Stone, and my son Nathan. He couldn't stand her. He always said she was too aggressive and not a team player. What he meant was she was the one person he couldn't charm, the one person who always read the fine print. Her assistant looked up, surprised. "Mr. Stone, we weren't expecting you." "She'll see me," I said. A moment later, I was in her office. It was full of dark wood, leather-bound books and a huge, commanding desk. Rebecca stood up, her face immediately shifting from a professional smile to sharp concern. "Greg," she said, closing the door firmly behind me, "you look like you've seen a ghost." I sat down in the leather chair opposite her. "Rebecca," I said, my voice low and steady, "I need you to hire a team. The best forensic accounting team in Chicago. I don't care what it costs. And they have to be ghosts. They cannot under any circumstances be traced back to me or to Stone Logistics. They work off-site. They report only to you." She didn't ask why. She just nodded, her pen already moving across a legal pad. "Consider it done. Who are we investigating?" "My son." Her pen stopped. She looked up, her eyes locking onto mine. "Go on." And I told her everything. I told her about the birthday watch I never gave. I told her about the whispered conversation I overheard through the door. "He called me a stupid old man, Rebecca." I told her about the $5 million. I told her about Apex Global Solutions. And I told her about my conversation with Mike Sullivan about how Nathan had used my name to lock my oldest friend out of my own company's finances. When I finished, Rebecca was silent for a full minute. She wasn't shocked. She was angry. I could see it in the tight line of her jaw. "He's not just stealing, Greg," she said finally, her voice like ice. "He's building a firewall. He's locking Mike out and using your forged digital signature. He's setting you up to be the fall guy. When this blows up, he'll walk away, and you'll be the one left holding the bag." "I know," I said. "That's why we need to move faster. I need to know what Apex is. I need to know where that $5 million went. I need to know everything." "This team I hire," she said, "they're expensive. They're ex-FBI, ex-IRS. They find things people don't want found. Are you prepared for what they'll uncover?" "I'm prepared to burn my own company to the ground if it means getting that cancer out of it," I said. Rebecca nodded again, this time with a grim smile. "Good. That's the Greg Stone I know. He's certainly not stupid." She picked up her phone. "I'll make the call. I'll need you to authorize the retainer from your personal account, not the corporate one." "Done?" I said. "And Greg," she said, as I stood up to leave. "Yes, Nathan thinks you're going to Florida. Nathan thinks you're a tired, clueless old man." "I know," I said. "Good," she replied. "For the next few weeks, I need you to be the most tired, most clueless old man you have ever been. Go to the golf club. Look at vacation brochures. Be forgetful. Let him get comfortable. Let him get sloppy. The sloppier he gets, the faster we catch him." I walked out of her office, the weight on my chest a little lighter. The war had begun, and I had just brought in my heavy artillery. "Don't talk to anyone about this," she called out as I left. "Not Mike, not your daughter, not anyone. From now on, I am your only point of contact." I just nodded. The stupid old man was on his way to Florida. Rebecca's words settled over me. "For the next few weeks, I need you to be the most tired, most clueless old man you have ever been." She was right. The only way to catch Nathan was to become the fool he already thought I was. But first, I needed the data. Rebecca's team could do a lot from the outside, but a full copy of that secret server, that was the smoking gun, and only one man could get it. I couldn't risk calling Mike Sullivan at the office. I waited until 7 p.m., long after Nathan and Jenna would be on their way to some expensive restaurant I was probably paying for. I used an old prepaid burner phone I kept in my car for emergencies. "Mike," I said when he picked up, his voice wary. "It's Greg. I need to see you, now. But not at the office, not at my house. Meet me at the Commodore." There was a long pause. "The Commodore?" he asked, his voice filled with confusion. "Greg, that place has been closed for 10 years. "I know," I said. "Meet me in the parking lot. 1 hour." The Commodore wasn't a hotel. It was the Greasy Spoon Diner where Mike and I used to drink black coffee and eat bad pie at 3 in the morning, back when we were just two guys with one truck trying to figure out how to make payroll. It was our place. It was sacred ground. Nathan wouldn't be caught dead there. I got there first. The diner was boarded up, the parking lot cracked and full of weeds. It was dark. I sat in my car feeling the ghosts of our past. I saw Mike's old Ford pull in and park a few spaces away. He got out of his car and walked over to my window. He looked like a man being haunted. "Greg, what is this?" he asked, his voice trembling. "You're scaring me." I unlocked the passenger door. "Get in, Mike." He sat down, the car's dome light showing the deep lines of stress on his face. He was 65, but tonight he looked 80. I got straight to the point. "He's not just sidelining you, Mike. He's committing fraud. He's running dirty money through the company, and he's using my name to do it." Mike closed his eyes. He didn't look surprised. He looked relieved, as if the secret he was holding was finally coming into the light. "I knew it," he whispered. "I knew it was something bad. It's not just Apex, is it?" "No," I said. "It's just the beginning. How bad is it?" He finally looked at me, his eyes full of shame. "Greg, I've been losing sleep for months. It started small. A new supplier I'd never heard of. A consulting fee paid to an account in Cyprus. Then Apex. Then another one, Horizon Logistics. Then Oceanic Ventures. All shell companies. All registered in Delaware or overseas. Millions coming in. Millions going out the next day. The money doesn't even sit in our accounts for 24 hours. It's a laundry, Greg." "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice flat, holding back the anger. "We've been friends for 30 years. That's when he broke. His voice cracked. "Because he used your digital signature, Greg. He used your key." I felt the blood drain from my face. My digital signature. The authorization key I had given him 2 years ago when I had my heart bypass surgery. The key that gave him the legal power to sign contracts as me. "I ran the final authorization logs," Mike choked out. "His new server. It hides the transactions, but the final wires, the money leaving our bank, it all has your digital key on it." Greg, I thought it was you." The silence in the car was absolute, broken only by Mike's ragged breathing. My son had framed me so perfectly that even my best and oldest friend, the most honest man I know, thought I was the criminal. He thought I'd gotten in over my head, that I'd become the very thing we'd fought against our whole lives. He was too loyal to confront me, but too honest to participate. So he just broke. Mike, I said, and my voice was cold steel. It wasn't me. He's been playing both of us. He thinks I'm a stupid, grieving old man. He thinks you're just a loyal old accountant who's past his prime. Mike's shame turned to anger, a slow, burning anger. That boy. I need that data, Mike. I need a full copy of that secret server. Everything he's been hiding. My lawyers are ready, but they need the proof. He locked me out, Greg. I told you. The server is segregated. I know, I said. He locked the front door, but you and I both know you built the back door. Mike Sullivan wasn't just a CFO. He was an old-school numbers guy who had built our first accounting software from scratch in the 90s. He knew where every digital wire was buried. A slow, grim smile spread across Mike's face. He's smart. He put up a new firewall. He segregated the virtual network. But he's 42. He's arrogant. He grew up with all this. He never had to build it from nothing. He looked at me, the fear gone from his eyes, replaced by the old fire I hadn't seen in years. He locked the admin account, Mike said. But he forgot about the root-level hardware access. He forgot who still holds the master key to the server room itself. He thinks it's all in the cloud. He's a fool. He forgot the cloud is just a bunch of hard drives in our own basement. Can you do it? I asked. Greg. Mike said, I'm going to be fixing a power fluctuation in that server room tonight. I'll get you a full clone of the hard drive. He won't even know I was there. Thank you, Mike. Don't thank me, he said, opening the car door. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for Stone Logistics. I'm doing this for Carol's memory. And I'm doing this because that arrogant little punk called my best friend stupid. He got out of the car and walked back to his Ford. I had my man on the inside. The trap was set. Now I just needed the bait. The next 48 hours were agony. I had to trust Mike. I had to wait. And I had to play the part of the stupid old man. I went into the office the next day right around 10 a.m. I didn't go to my old CEO office. I just wandered. I shuffled down the main hallway, letting my shoulders stoop. I stopped by the coffee machine and fumbled with the pod dispenser, pretending I couldn't figure out the new Keurig. Here, Mr. Stone, let me help, Tara, Nathan's assistant, said, rushing over. She spoke with that same slow, over-enunciated voice he had used on me. Oh, thank you, dear, I said, giving her a watery smile. All this new technology, it's just so confusing. My mind isn't as quick as it used to be. I saw two junior analysts look at each other and then quickly look away. The word was out. The old man was losing it. Good. I wandered over to Nathan's office. He was on the phone, but he waved me in a look of mild annoyance on his face. He finished his call and looked at me. Hey, Dad. What's up? I'm pretty slammed today. I know, son, I know. I wanted to ask you about that Florida trip. His eyes lit up. Florida. Right. Great idea. I can have Tara book you a flight for next week. Oh, that sounds lovely, I said. I was looking at some brochures. Palm Beach looks nice. What do you think? Or maybe Boca? I hear Boca has some wonderful golf clubs. Nathan smiled, a wide, genuine smile of pure condescension. He was getting exactly what he wanted. Boca is perfect for you, Dad. Absolutely perfect. Lots of, other retirees. You'll fit right in. You won't have to worry about a thing. Good. Good. I stood there pretending to be lost in thought. It's just so much to pack. Carol she always handled these things. I let my voice trail off, letting him see the grieving widower. I know, Dad. I know, he said, standing up and putting his arm around me, leading me to the door again. You just focus on your golf clubs. Jenna and I can even come down and help you get settled, find a nice condo. You'd do that? I asked, looking up at him with what I hoped looked like pathetic gratitude. Of course, he said. Anything for your dad. We'll take care of everything. You just rest. I was in the hallway when Jenna herself walked up holding 2 lattes. She was wearing a new Cartier bracelet I hadn't seen before, probably bought with my money. Oh, good morning, Greg, she said. She didn't call me Dad anymore, just Greg. I was no longer the patriarch. I was just Greg. Jenna, dear, Nathan was just helping me plan my trip to Florida. We were thinking Boca. Jenna beamed. Boca. How perfect. Oh, Greg, you should definitely get a condo with beige interiors. It's so soothing and very appropriate for that climate. Appropriate. Like a hospital room. Like a place you put things you want to forget about. Thank you, dear. That's a wonderful suggestion. Beige. I shuffled away, my heart pounding with a mixture of rage and triumph. They were so arrogant. They were so convinced of their own brilliance and of my stupidity that they couldn't see the trap closing around them. I left the office at 11 a.m. I drove to a park, sat on a bench, and waited. At exactly 1 p.m., my burner phone buzzed. A single text from a number I didn't recognize. Power surge is fixed. The backup is complete. It was Mike. He had it. I drove to the rendezvous. Not the diner this time. A public library in a different county. I walked into the history section as we'd agreed. Mike was there pretending to read a book on the Civil War. He looked exhausted, but electric. He didn't look at me. As I walked past him, he slipped a small black external hard drive onto the shelf. Dropped this, so, he muttered to the air. I picked it up. Oh, thank you, I said to the empty aisle. I slid the drive into my jacket pocket. It was heavy, heavier than any piece of metal I'd ever held. It was the weight of my company, the weight of my son's future. I walked out of the library, got in my car, and drove straight to Rebecca Quinn's office. I handed her the drive. Here it is. Everything from his secret server. Rebecca took it. She didn't smile. Good. The team is on standby. I'll call you as soon as we have a preliminary report. Greg, go home. Act normal. And for God's sake, don't answer any questions from Nathan. You're just a confused old man, remember? I nodded. Beige, I said. Jenna thinks I should decorate in beige. Rebecca's eyes flashed. We'll see how she likes the color of a federal holding cell. I played the part of the stupid old man perfectly. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my study, the one Carol had decorated, and I stared at the phone. I waited for a call from Mike. It never came. I realized he wouldn't call. He couldn't risk it. He said he would do it tonight, which meant I had to wait until morning. My role in this was simple. I had to be the distraction. I had to be the stupid old man so perfectly that Nathan wouldn't even think to check his security logs. I woke up. I put on one of my older suits, a tan one that was slightly too large on my frame now. I skipped my morning shave. I wanted to look frail. I drove to Stone Logistics, arriving around 10 a.m., just late enough to seem retired and aimless. I didn't go to my office. I shuffled past it. I saw Mike Sullivan across the floor, already at his desk, buried in spreadsheets. He looked pale, exhausted. He didn't look at me. He was playing his part too. I walked right up to Tara, Nathan's young, efficient assistant. She looked up, surprised. Mr. Stone, can I help you? I gave her my most vacant, watery-eyed smile. Oh, hello, dear. Yes, I was wondering. My son, Nathan. He suggested Florida for a trip. He's such a good boy, always looking out for his old dad. Tara smiled that bright, tight, condescending smile. He certainly is, Mr. Stone. Florida sounds lovely this time of year. Yes, I said, letting my voice trail off. I was wondering if you could perhaps print me some. Information on Boca Raton. Nathan mentioned Boca. He said it's quiet. I saw the flicker in her eyes. The real communication. She was already trained. She knew the Boca story. It meant she was in on the plan to get me out of the way. Of course, Mr. Stone, she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. I'll get you some brochures for golf clubs and communities right away. Thank you, dear. Thank you. I turned to shuffle away and nearly bumped right into Jenna. She was carrying a green juice looking like she'd just stepped out of a magazine. She was wearing a new Cartier bracelet. My money, the 5 million. Oh, Greg, she said, and her voice was like a knife. You're here early. Are you feeling all right? You look a little pale. Jenna, my dear, I said, beaming. Just the man. I mean the woman I wanted to see. I'm planning my trip to Boca. Nathan's idea. Jenna's smile was blinding. It was the smile of a predator that had just cornered its prey. Boca. How perfect. Oh, Greg, you will love it. It's so appropriate. Appropriate. The word hung in the air. Appropriate for a stupid old man. I'm even thinking, I said, leaning in as if sharing a secret, of looking at condos. Beige. You mentioned beige, didn't you? A nice, soothing beige. That's a wonderful idea, she said, patting my arm. You just focus on that. You let Nathan handle all this messy business stuff. It's too much for you now. I nodded gratefully. You are so right. Thank you, Jenna. I walked away. I could feel their eyes on my back. The two of them, my son's wife and his assistant, watching the old fool shuffle off to his beige coffin in Florida. I went to the break room. I poured a cup of coffee. My hand was perfectly steady. My burner phone vibrated in my pocket. A single text from an unknown number. It wasn't from Mike. It was from Rebecca Quinn. The team is assembled. They are waiting for the package. I waited all day. I made a show of looking at the brochures Tara gave me. I asked Mike questions about the weather in Florida, loud enough for others to hear. Mike just grunted, "Never been," and didn't look up from his screen. At 4 p.m., Mike stood up, packed his briefcase, and left, just like any other day. I waited 10 more minutes. Then I left too. The rendezvous was at a public library in a different county. I walked in feeling exposed. I went to the history section as we'd agreed. I saw Mike sitting at a table pretending to read a book on the Civil War. He didn't look at me. I sat at the table opposite him. We sat in silence for a full minute. He turned a page. He's arrogant, Mike whispered to the book. He changed the admin password, but he never changed the root-level hardware access codes. He just left the factory settings. My son, the MBA, the tech genius. He was a fool. Mike slid the heavy history book back onto the shelf. As he did, he left a small black external hard drive behind it. It's all there, Greg, he whispered. Every file, every transaction, the hidden server, everything. I made a full clone. He won't even know I was there. He stood up and walked away without looking back. I waited. I counted to 100. Then I stood up, walked to the shelf, and picked up the book Mike had been reading. I slipped the hard drive into my jacket pocket. It was heavy, heavier than any piece of metal I'd ever held. It was the weight of my company, the weight of my son's future. I walked out of the library. I didn't go home. I drove straight to Rebecca Quinn's office to the high-rise downtown. I walked into her office. She was waiting. I didn't say a word. I just placed the hard drive on her polished desk. Rebecca picked it up. She didn't smile. Good, she said. The team is on standby. They'll start work immediately. Greg, go home. Act normal. And for God's sake, don't answer any questions. You're just a confused old man, remember? I nodded. Beige, I said. Jenna thinks I should decorate in beige. Rebecca's eyes flashed. We'll see how she likes the color of a federal holding cell. I smiled at Jenna. Thank you, dear. That's a wonderful suggestion. My hand was gripping the phone in my pocket so hard my knuckles ached. 2 million. That was just the first transaction they found. I kept the smile plastered on my face as I shuffled away the consummate, stupid old man. I spent the next 2 days in a self-imposed hell. I forced myself to go to the golf club. I forced myself to look at real estate websites for Boca Raton, leaving the browser open on my laptop at home just in case Jenna stopped by. I was acting. Every second of every day. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart leaped into my throat. But it was just spam or Emily checking in. How are you, Dad? She'd ask. Oh, just tired, honey. Thinking of taking a trip. I hated lying to her, but I had to protect her. The call finally came on a Thursday night, 10 p.m. My burner phone, Rebecca's number. Greg, get to the safe office, now. Her voice was different. The professional icy calm was gone. She sounded shaken. She sounded scared. What is it? I asked, my heart pounding. Did you find it, the 5 million? There was a terrible pause on the other end of the line. Greg, she said, and her voice was barely a whisper. Forget the 5 million. It's so much worse than you thought. Just get here. Now. The drive took 20 minutes. I did it in 10. The safe office was an anonymous suite in a K Street high-rise rented under a shell corporation Rebecca kept for sensitive clients. The lights were blazing. I walked in. It wasn't just Rebecca. There were 3 other people I'd never seen, all in suits, all staring at a massive whiteboard covered in charts and names. They looked like ex-FBI. They probably were. Rebecca turned to face me. Her face was pale. Greg, I want you to meet Mr. Thorne. He's the head of the forensic team. Thorne, a tall man with graying temples, didn't offer to shake my hand. He just pointed to the board. Mr. Stone, he said, his voice flat. What we found is extensive. You need to prepare yourself. I'm prepared, I lied. Show me. We started with Apex Global Solutions, he said. It's a shell registered in Cyprus, but it's just one. We found 23 others: Horizon Logistics, Oceanic Ventures, Pacific Strategic, all shells, all registered in Delaware, Panama, or the Cayman Islands. He pointed to a large number at the top of the board. $21.4 million. I leaned against the doorframe. 21 million. In how long? 6 months, Thorne said. He's been washing just under $4 million a month through your company. My own company. My legacy. He had turned it into a laundromat for criminals. But who? I whispered. Who does he know that has this kind of money? Rebecca answered this time. She pointed to a name on the whiteboard. A name circled in red. Voronov. Does that name mean anything to you, Greg? I felt the blood drain from my face. Voronov, the Russian syndicate. The ones the feds were investigating for arms dealing in the 90s. The very same, Thorne said. They've moved into illegal oil and cybercrime. They are not people you want to know. Your son isn't just a white-collar criminal, Mr. Stone. He's an associate of the Russian mafia. He's laundering money for murderers. I couldn't breathe. My son. My Nathan. The boy I taught to ride a bike. He was working with murderers. All the pieces clicked into place. The secrecy. The private server. The reason he locked Mike out. If If they find out we're doing this, I started. They'll kill you, Rebecca said, finishing my thought. They'll kill Mike, they'll kill your son, and they'll kill anyone in this room. I looked at the board again, at the web of lies. So, we go to the feds. We give them everything. We get protection. Not yet, Thorne said. He looked at Rebecca, then back at me. It's worse than that. You don't understand. Your son, he's not just laundering money for them. I frowned. What do you mean? Thorne pointed to a complex flowchart. The Voronov Syndicate wires $5 million to Apex Global, your shell company. The money hits your corporate account, where it's marked as consulting fees, standard laundry. He traced a line with his finger. Then your son is supposed to wire the full $5 million minus a small processing fee to another shell company, a supplier in Eastern Europe. That's the rinse cycle. Okay, I said, not seeing the problem. But he's not doing that, Thorne said. Look at the outgoing wire. He's only sending $4.5 million. I stared at the numbers. He's skimming. He's taking a 10% cut. Not a cut, Greg, Rebecca said, her voice full of disbelief. A cut would be negotiated. He's stealing. He's stealing $500,000 from every transaction. I almost laughed. It was insane. My son wasn't just a money launderer. He was a stupid money launderer. He's stealing from the Russian mafia. Yes, Thorne said. He's stealing from one of the most violent criminal organizations on the planet. And they will find out. They always find out. Where is the money going? I asked. Thorne pointed to the last box on the chart. A bank in the Cayman Islands. An account under a corporation named NJ Holdings. NJ, I said. Nathan and Jenna. We believe so, Rebecca confirmed. The account already has over $2 million in it. They've been doing this for months. I sank into a chair. My son, my idiot son, had put a death sentence on our entire family because he was arrogant, because he was greedy, and because he thought his stupid old man would never check the books. He wasn't just going to prison. He was going to get us all killed. I stared at Thorne, the ex-FBI man. What do you mean he's stealing from them? Thorne tapped the giant whiteboard, pointing to a complex flowchart. This is the rinse cycle, Mr. Stone. It's simple, but your son added a step. He traced the line with a laser pointer. The Voronov Syndicate wires $5 million to Apex Global, your shell company. The money hits your corporate account where it's marked as consulting fees, standard laundry. It sits for exactly 24 hours. He moved the pointer. Then your son is supposed to wire the full $5 million minus a small processing fee to another shell company, a supplier in Eastern Europe. That's the final rinse. The money is clean. Okay, I said, not seeing the problem yet. But he's not doing that, Thorne said, his voice flat. Look at the outgoing wire transfer. He's not sending $5 million. He's sending $4.5 million. The air left my lungs. He's skimming, I whispered. He's taking a 10% cut. Rebecca Quinn let out a low, disbelieving sound. Not a cut, Greg. A cut would be negotiated. He's stealing. He's skimming $500,000 from every single transaction. I almost laughed. It was the laugh of a man on the edge of hysteria. My son, my brilliant MBA-educated son, he wasn't just a money launderer. He was a stupid money launderer. He's stealing from the Russian mafia. I said the words sounding insane. He's stealing from Voronov. Yes, Thorne said, clicking to the next slide. A very sophisticated, very stupid, and very greedy move. And they will find out, Mr. Stone. They always find out. These organizations audit their books better than the IRS. When they discover this, they won't call the police. I knew what he meant. They wouldn't send lawyers. They would send men in dark suits to fix the problem. And they wouldn't just go after Nathan. They would go after the name on the company. Gregory Stone. They would go after me. They would go after my daughter Emily just to send a message. My son hadn't just put me at risk of prison. He had put a death sentence on our entire family. Where is the money going? I asked, my voice hoarse. The money he's stealing. Thorne clicked again. A new box appeared on the chart separate from the others, a line diverting from the main flow. He's running it through 2 more blind transfers, but we found it. A corporate account in the Cayman Islands. On the screen, a bank statement appeared. The name on the account wasn't Nathan Stone. It was a corporation. NJ Holdings, I read aloud. We believe so, Rebecca said. Nathan and Jenna. We ran a check. The corporation was filed 6 months ago, just before the first Apex contract was signed. Thorne pointed to the balance. They've been doing this for 4 months, Greg. Not just with Apex, but with all 23 shells. 10% of every dirty dollar. The account already contains $2,150,000. $2 million. The new Cartier bracelet, the lake house, the beige condos in Boca. It all made sense. I sank into a chair, my head in my hands. So what do? We go to the feds. We give them everything. We tell them about Voronov. We tell them about Nathan. We get protection. We're getting there, Rebecca said, putting a hand on my shoulder. But Greg, there's one more thing. It's the worst part. I looked up. Worse? What is possibly worse than stealing from the Russian mafia and putting a target on my entire family? Thorne looked at Rebecca, then back at me. He was clearly debating how to say it. Mr. Stone, he said, as we were analyzing the private server, the one your son built to hide all this, we found a partitioned, heavily encrypted folder. It wasn't part of the laundry. It was separate. What was in it? It was named Contingency, Thorne said. Rebecca took over, her voice soft. Greg, it seems Nathan had a plan. He had a plan for what to do if the feds or Voronov ever got close. He had a plan B. I didn't understand. A plan B to run? No, Rebecca said. She looked me straight in the eyes, her own filled with a cold fury I had never seen. A plan to frame you. I laughed. It was a dry, brittle sound, like dead leaves scraping on pavement. He's a fool. He's stealing from the Russian mafia. They'll kill him if they find out. Rebecca's face was grim. She didn't laugh with me. Or, she said, her voice dropping, they'll kill you. I stopped laughing. What? Why me? He's the one stealing. Think, Greg, she said, leaning forward. Whose name is on everything, whose digital signature is on the wires. Who is the stupid old man who supposedly authorized all of this? Voronov won't see a difference between you and Nathan. He'll just see the name Stone. He'll see the CEO. He'll see you. Nathan isn't just risking his own life. He's put a target on your back. On Emily's back. On everyone. The room tilted. The air felt thin. She was right. Voronov wouldn't care about corporate structure. He would see the betrayal, see my face on the company website, and send his men to fix the problem. My son, my own son, had signed my death warrant. I sank into a chair, my head in my hands. So what do? We go to the feds. Now. We give them everything. We tell them about Voronov. We tell them about Nathan. We get protection. We're getting there, Rebecca said, putting a hand on my shoulder. But Greg, there's one more thing. It's the worst part. I looked up, my eyes bloodshot. Worse? What is possibly worse than stealing from the mafia and putting a target on my entire family? Thorne, the ex-FBI man, cleared his throat. He looked at Rebecca, then back at me. He was clearly debating how to say it. "Mr. Stone," he said, "as we were analyzing the private server, the one your son built to hide all this, we found a partitioned, heavily encrypted folder. It wasn't part of the laundry. It was separate." "What was in it?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "It was named Contingency," Thorne said. Rebecca took over, her voice soft, but full of a cold fury I had never seen in her. "Greg, it seems Nathan had a plan all along. He knew this was risky. He knew he might get caught. He had a plan B." I didn't understand. "A plan B to run, to disappear with the 2 million? No," Rebecca said. She looked me straight in the eyes. "A plan to frame you." I just stared at her. "Frame me?" Thorne pointed to the hard drive. "That folder, Mr. Stone, was Nathan's insurance policy. It's a meticulously crafted trail of false evidence. We found dozens of fake emails fabricated to look like they came from your old personal email account. Emails ordering Nathan to set up these discreet accounts. Emails demanding he use your digital signature to protect you from scrutiny." My mind flashed back to the way he'd spoken to me. "It's complex, Dad. Leave it to me. Trust me." "He was building a case," I whispered. "He was building a coffin," Rebecca corrected. "It gets worse. We found correspondence between Jenna and a psychiatrist in another state, a doctor we're now investigating. Jenna has been documenting your erratic behavior for the last year, your forgetfulness, your deep grief over Carol, your confusion about technology." Stupid old man. They were going to have me declared incompetent." "Exactly," Thorne said. "Plan B was simple. If the feds, or worse, Voronov's people, ever showed up, Nathan would play the part of the loyal, terrified son. He would hand them this folder. He would say his stupid old man father had gotten involved with criminals, that he was confused and senile, that he had forced Nathan to make these transfers, and Nathan, as the dutiful son, had only been pretending to comply, all while secretly skimming the money. Not to steal, but to collect evidence against his own father. It was brilliant. It was monstrous. It was perfect. He would be the hero, and I would be the senile, grieving old man who made one last fatal mistake. I would take the fall. I would go to prison, or I would be delivered gift-wrapped to Voronov. My son Nathan, the boy I taught to ride a bike, the man I was going to give the world. He was going to feed me to the wolves to save himself. I stood up from the chair. The room was spinning. The shock was gone. The grief was gone. All the pain from the last few weeks, it all coalesced into one single pure, ice-cold feeling. Rage. "He called me a stupid old man," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. Rebecca looked at me. "Greg, what are you thinking? He thinks I'm stupid. He thinks I'm forgetful. He thinks I'm a confused, grieving widower who needs to be put in a home." I turned to the whiteboard at the $21 million, at the Cayman account, at the name Voronov, at the folder marked Contingency. "All right," I said, my voice no longer shaking. "The acting is over." I looked at Rebecca. "He thinks I'm going to Florida. He thinks I'm going to play golf. Greg, he wants a stupid old man." I said, a slow, cold smile spreading across my face. "I'm going to give him one, and then I'm going to bury him with it." Rebecca looked at me. "Greg, what are you thinking?" I turned to the whiteboard. My son's name, Voronov's name, the Cayman account, the fake medical file. "He wants a stupid old man," I said, my voice a low growl. "He wants a confused, grieving widower who needs to be put in a home. He's counting on it. He's built his entire plan on it." "Greg," Rebecca warned. "So that's what we're going to give him," I said. "He thinks I'm going to Florida. Fine. I'll be the most enthusiastic retiree he has ever seen. He thinks I'm senile. I'll be the most forgetful, confused old man who ever lived. He wants me to sign papers. I'll sign them. But not his papers. Ours. I turned to Thorne. This evidence is perfect. But it's not enough. He'll just deny it. He'll blame his accountant. He'll blame Mike. I looked at Rebecca. I don't just want him caught, Rebecca. I want him to confess. I want him to walk into the trap himself. What's the play? She asked. He's been pushing me to sign over total control. He needs my final signature to get full access to the primary corporate accounts, doesn't he? To move the money freely? Rebecca nodded. Yes, the final transfer of power, the one you've been putting off. That's the hook, I said. I'm going to call him. I'm going to give in. I'm going to tell him he's right. I'm too old, I'm too tired, and I'm ready to sign everything over. I'm ready to go to Boca. Rebecca's eyes lit up. She saw it. You'll set up a meeting. Yes, I said. A final signing. Me, him, and Jenna. But the documents he puts in front of me, they won't be the documents he thinks. We're going to prepare our own, and we are going to record every second of it. Thorne nodded, a grim smile on his face. A controlled confession. Very clean. The feds will love it. And so will Voronov's competitors. I left the safe office. The rage was gone, replaced by a cold, sharp purpose. I drove home to the big, empty house. I sat in my study, the one that held all my memories of Carol. I let the grief I felt for my wife mix with the grief I felt for my son. The son I was about to destroy. I needed to be in that headspace. I needed to sound broken. I picked up my phone. I dialed Nathan. My hand did not shake. He answered on the third ring, his voice clipped, impatient. Dad. What's up? I'm in the middle of something. I took a shaky breath. I made my voice crack. Nathan. Son. I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. It's fine, Dad, he said, the impatience clear. What do you need? I've been thinking, Nathan, about what you said. About Florida. About me being tired. I let my voice break a little. You're right, son. You're right. I'm just so tired. Ever since your mother, ever since Carol. I let the silence hang. I could hear him breathing on the other end. He was listening. He was hooked. I can't do this anymore, son, I whispered. This new technology, the Apex thing, it's just too much for me. My mind, it's not what it used to be. I keep forgetting things. I heard a sharp intake of breath on his end. It was the sound of a predator smelling blood. Dad, it's okay, he said, his voice instantly changing. It was that fake, soothing tone, the one he used on the stupid old man. It's completely understandable. You've been through a lot. I want to go to Florida, I said, my voice small like a child's. I want to go to Boca, like Jenna said. I want the beige condo. I just want to rest. That's great, Dad. That's a wonderful decision. I'm so proud of you for making it. But the company, I said. The papers. I don't know what to do. Don't you worry about a thing, Dad, he said quickly. You don't have to understand any of it. That's what I'm here for. I'll have the corporate lawyers draw up all the final papers. A full transfer of power. It will make everything simple. You just have to sign, one time. Then you can go play golf. You'd do that for me, Nathan. You'd take all this complexity off my hands. Of course, Dad. I'll handle everything. I'll protect you. I'll protect you. The lie was so profound, so monstrous, it almost made me gag. Thank you, son, I whispered. You're a good boy. You're a good son. I trust you. I trust you completely. I know you do, Dad. How about Friday 10 a.m. we'll have a little signing ceremony. Just us, in the main conference room. Jenna can come. We can celebrate your retirement. That sounds wonderful, son. Great. I'll see you then, Dad. You just rest. The line clicked. He hung up. He didn't even say goodbye. I stared at the phone. The trap was set. The bait was taken. I immediately called Rebecca. He's in, Friday, 10 a.m., the main conference room. I'll have the documents ready, she said. And Greg, the recording devices will be in place, both audio and video. When he slides those papers in front of you, we'll have him. On fraud, on elder abuse, on conspiracy. Good, I said. Now I'm going to do what he told me to do. I'm going to rest. I need to be perfectly confused for my performance on Friday. I was going to give the performance of my life, and the price of admission was my son's entire future. The line clicked. He hung up on me. He didn't even say goodbye. He was so excited, so eager to lock in his victory, that he couldn't maintain the pretense for one more second. I stared at the phone. 1, 2, 3. My phone rang. It was Nathan. I let it ring twice before picking it up, faking a slightly startled, "Hello?" "Dad, thank God. You hung up so suddenly I was worried," he said. His voice was back, that smooth, oily performance of concern. He had hung up on me, but he was already twisting the narrative. He was already building his case. The old man is confused. He hangs up in the middle of a sentence. "Oh," I said, my voice trembling just the right amount. "Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry, son. My hands. They've been shaking so much lately. I must have dropped it. I'm so sorry." "It's okay, Dad. It's okay. Don't worry about it," he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. He was practically vibrating with success. "Dad, what you said, it's the right decision. It's the best decision you could make. You've earned your rest." "You think so?" I asked, playing the child seeking approval. "I know so," he said firmly, "and I'm going to take care of everything. You don't have to lift a finger. I'll call the corporate lawyers right now. I'll have them draft all the final papers. A full transfer of power. It'll be simple. It'll just make me the sole signatory on all corporate accounts. It will take all the complexity, all that pressure, right off your shoulders." "Oh, Nathan," I said, that would be such a relief. I trust you. I trust you completely." "I know you do, Dad. That's why I want to make this easy for you. How about Friday? This Friday, say 10 a.m. we can meet in the main conference room. Just a quick signature. Jenna and we can take you out for a nice lunch afterward. A retirement celebration, a signing, a celebration, like a party for my own execution." "Friday," I repeated slowly, as if trying to remember. "Yes, 10 a.m. That sounds wonderful, son." "Great. It's a date. You rest, Dad. Don't think about a single thing. I'll handle everything. I'll see you on Friday." "Thank you, Nathan," I whispered. You really are a good son." "I know, Dad," he said. "I'll see you then." The line clicked again. This time I was the one who hung up. I sat in the silence of my study for exactly 1 second. Then I picked up the burner phone. I dialed Rebecca. She answered immediately. "Rebecca, it's Greg. How did it go?" The fish took the bait, the hook is set, and the boat is ready. I could hear her smile. Give me the details. Friday, 10 a.m., the main conference room. He's bringing his own paperwork to have me sign everything over. He's bringing Jenna to watch. Oh, that's perfect, she said, her voice dripping with predatory satisfaction. It's not just a signing, it's a ceremony. He'll be arrogant, he'll be sloppy, and he'll be performing for his wife. He's all yours, Rebecca. What's our next move? My team has already been working on the bait documents, she said. Now we finalize the trap documents. I'm going to draft a full legal confession, a civil complaint for $21 million, an immediate injunction freezing NJ Holdings in the Caymans, and a termination agreement so airtight he'll never work in this state again. Good, I said, feeling the ice in my veins. And Greg, she added, there's one more thing. Your daughter, Emily. What about her? I said, suddenly protective. She's not involved in this. I know, which is why she needs to be there. This isn't just a corporate action. This is a family matter. When you take him down, you need a witness who isn't a lawyer. You need the other child, the good one. I hesitated. I didn't want to put Emily through that. She has to be there, Greg, Rebecca insisted. Nathan's whole defense will be that you are crazy and vindictive. But he can't say that if his sister is in the room watching him be exposed. She is our moral leverage. Call her. Tell her it's the most important family meeting of her life. Tell her to be at my office at 9 a.m. on Friday. We'll brief her right before we go in. I sighed. She was right. I'll call her. Friday, 10 a.m. The game begins. It's not a game, Greg, Rebecca said, her voice turning hard. It's an execution. I hung up the phone with Nathan, the echo of his, I'll see you then, Dad, still hanging in the air. The finality of it was chilling. I had just lied to my son. I had just agreed to my own execution. Or so he thought. My thumb immediately went to my burner phone. I dialed Rebecca. She answered on the first ring. He's in, I said. My voice was steady. Friday, 10 a.m., the main conference room. I heard Rebecca let out a long, slow breath. Good. He's bringing Jenna. He said Jenna and I can take you to lunch, a celebration. They'll both be there. Perfect, Rebecca said, and her voice was pure ice. It's not just a signing, it's a ceremony. He'll be arrogant, he'll be sloppy, and he'll be performing for his wife. He won't read the fine print until it's too late. What's the play, Rebecca? What am I signing? My team has already been working on the bait documents, she said. They look just like our standard retirement and power of attorney forms. But the trap documents, those are my masterpiece. I could hear her shuffling papers. I'm drafting a full legal confession, a civil complaint for the $21,400,000, an immediate injunction, which I've already filed under seal to freeze NJ Holdings in the Caymans, and a termination agreement so airtight he'll never work in this state again. A confession, I said, tasting the word. He'll sign that, or he'll go to jail. Simple as that. How do we get it in the room he's bringing his papers? Greg, this is my world, she said. Mike will let my tech team in on Thursday night after hours. They're going in under the guise of upgrading the AV equipment for the new fiscal year. By the time Nathan arrives on Friday, that conference room will be a recording studio. High-definition video from 3 angles, 2 hidden in the ceiling, speakers 1 in the smart TV, broadcast quality audio. Everything will be streamed live to my team in a van parked a block away. The moment he admits to anything, the moment he confesses, we have him. And the papers. My paralegal will pose as a notary from the corporate law firm. She'll be the one who brings in the documents. She'll swap his stack for ours. He'll be so busy celebrating his victory, he'll just sign where she points. It was a brilliant, cold-blooded plan. Good, I said. It's done. Not quite, Rebecca said. There's one more thing. Your daughter. My stomach dropped. Emily, no, absolutely not. I won't drag her into this. She's innocent. This will destroy her. She has to be there, Greg, Rebecca insisted, her voice firm, leaving no room for argument. This isn't just a corporate action. It's a family execution. Nathan's entire defense, his plan B, rests on the idea that you are crazy and vindictive. He can't make that claim if his sister is in the room watching him get exposed. I hated it, but she was right. He can't call you senile if Emily is our witness, Rebecca pushed. She is our moral leverage. She's the witness to his character, and to yours. Call her. Tell her it's the most important family meeting of her life. Tell her to be at my office at 9 a.m. on Friday. We'll brief her right before we go in. I sighed. It felt like another betrayal pulling my daughter into this pit. All right, I'll call her. Hanging up with Rebecca, I dialed Emily. She picked up on the second ring, her voice like a ray of sunshine. Hey, Dad. How's the Florida planning? Did you pick a golf club? The lie tasted like acid. Emily, honey, I need you to do something for me. I need you to be at my office. Friday morning, 10 a.m. The line went silent. Then the office, Dad. I thought, I have my third grade class. Is everything okay? You sound different. I couldn't play the stupid old man with her. I had to use the one thing I had left, the truth of my voice. Honey, listen to me. This is the most important family meeting we will ever have. It's about the company. It's about everything. I can't explain it over the phone, but I need you there. I need you to trust me. Please. She heard the gravity, the command, the real me. Okay, Dad. Okay. I'll get a substitute. I'll be there. Dad, you're scaring me. Don't be scared, honey. Just be there. I love you. I hung up. I had now lied to my daughter, too. I spent the next 48 hours in a fog. I went through the motions. I packed a suitcase for Florida, filling it with golf shirts and khaki shorts. I left it open on my bed, a prop in my own play. I called the golf club in Boca and made a reservation for a tee time I would never use. I was perfectly playing the part, all while knowing the execution was set. I was no longer a father. I was an instrument of justice. And I was about to bring the gavel down on my own son. The next 2 days were the strangest performance of my life. I had Rebecca's team finalize the 2 briefcases. Both were identical black leather with the Stone Logistics logo embossed in gold. Briefcase 1 contained Nathan's fantasy, a set of dummy documents, thick with legal jargon that looked exactly like a full retirement and transfer of power. Briefcase 2, that was Rebecca's masterpiece. That was the trap. I spent those 2 days playing the part of the stupid old man. I went to the office to clean out my desk. I let Nathan and Jenna see me. I let them watch me packing up old photographs of Carol, a few silly mugs my grandkids had made me, and a stack of golf magazines. I made sure to look confused. I accidentally dropped a box of paper clips, and I sighed heavily as I struggled to pick them up, waiting until Tara, the assistant, rushed over to help me. Oh, thank you, dear. I'd said, my voice watery. My back, it's not what it used to be. Nathan had watched from his glass office, a smug, satisfied look on his face. On Thursday, I called my daughter, Emily. Honey, it's Dad. Hey, Dad. How are you? How's the Florida planning? The lie stung. I hated bringing her into this. It's good, honey, but I need you to do something for me. I took a deep breath. I need you to come to the office tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., the main conference room. It's the final signing. The line went silent. The final signing, she asked, her voice small. You're really doing it. You're giving him the company. I need you to be there, Emily, I said, my voice firm, cutting through the old man act for just a second. It's the most important family meeting of our lives. I can't explain over the phone. Please, just trust me. She heard it. The real me. The father she knew. Okay, Dad. Okay. I'll get a substitute for my class. I'll be there. She was confused, but she agreed. The final piece was in place. Friday morning. I woke up at 5 a.m. I put on the tan suit, the one that was slightly too large, the one that made me look frail. I didn't slick my hair back. I let it be messy thin. I looked in the mirror. I saw a defeated 70-year-old man. I saw exactly what they wanted to see. I drove downtown, but I didn't go to Stone Logistics. I went to Rebecca's office building at 9 a.m. as planned. Emily was already there, sitting in the waiting room, twisting her hands. She's a third-grade teacher. She's gentle like her mother. She looked terrified. Dad, what's going on? You look awful. I know, honey, I said. Come on back. Rebecca was in her conference room. Mike Sullivan was there too, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. Emily? Rebecca started, her voice firm but kind. We asked you here because your father is in trouble, and he needs you to be a witness. Trouble? Emily looked at me. Dad, is this about money? Did something happen? Honey, I said, and my voice broke for real this time. It's Nathan. For the next 30 minutes, we laid it all out. We didn't tell her about Voronov or the mafia. It was too dangerous, it would put her at risk. But we told her about the stolen money, the 21 million. We told her about the Cayman account, NJ Holdings. Emily's face went from confusion to disbelief to denial. No, she whispered. No, Nathan wouldn't. He loves you, Dad. He wouldn't steal. He did, honey, Mike said softly, pushing a bank statement across the table. The NJ Holdings account, $2,150,000. Emily stared at it. She looked like she was going to be sick. But why? She cried. Because he's greedy, Rebecca said. And because he thinks your father is a stupid old man, and that's the worst part, Emily. I took a deep breath. Honey, if he gets caught, he has a plan. He plans to blame me. He's created fake emails. He's built a file with a doctor to say I'm senile, that I'm not competent. That was the blow that landed. Emily's denial shattered, replaced by a cold, horrified understanding. He called you stupid, she whispered, her eyes flashing, remembering all the times she'd heard him make jokes about my forgetfulness at family dinners. Yes, I said. And today, at 10 a.m., he's going to try to make me sign over the entire company. He thinks I'm retiring to Florida. He's going to tell me to sign his papers. My God, she whispered. That's why you are here, I said, taking her hand. I need you to just sit there. You don't say a word. You just watch. I need a witness. I need my daughter. Emily wiped her tears, but her eyes were different. They weren't soft anymore. They were hard. They were her mother's eyes. What do you need me to do, Dad? At 9:50, we walked over to the Stone Logistics building. Mike, Emily, and I. Rebecca and her notary were already in place. They had entered through the parking garage with Mike's credentials under the guise of being from the corporate law firm. We rode the elevator up to the top floor. The silence was deafening. We reached the main conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see them. Nathan and Jenna. They were laughing. Jenna was sipping a latte, looking at something on her phone, probably their new lake house. Nathan was leaning back in my chair, the CEO chair, at the head of the table, his feet kicked up on the polished wood. They looked triumphant. Mike pushed the door open. Dad, Nathan boomed, jumping to his feet. His smile was a mile wide. "You made it. And Emily, honey, what a surprise. So glad you could come see Dad off on his new adventure." "Hello, Nathan," Emily said, her voice ice cold. He didn't even notice. Jenna glided over. She was wearing a white silk dress. White, like she was innocent. "Greg," she purred, kissing the air near my cheek. "Boca is going to be so good for you. You look tired." "I am, dear," I whispered, shuffling to my chair. "I am so very tired. Let's just get this over with." "Absolutely," Nathan said. He gestured to the young woman at the side of the room, Rebecca's paralegal, who he thought was from his own lawyers. "This is Miss Allen. She's the notary. She has all the papers." Ms. Allen stepped forward, her face a perfect mask of professionalism, carrying 2 identical leather briefcases. Nathan picked up his stack of papers, the ones he had prepared. He fanned them out in front of me. "Here we go, Dad," he said, his voice slick with victory. "This is it. The big one. The full transfer of power. You just sign here, here, and here, and you are officially a free man." He handed me his expensive gold pen. I looked at the paper. Transfer of controlling interest. I looked at my son, his eyes gleaming with greed. I looked at Jenna, who was watching me like a hawk. I looked at Emily, who was watching her brother with heartbreaking sadness. I took the pen. I held it over the paper. And then I smiled. A real smile. Nathan spun around. He hadn't seen his sister. He stared at Emily, who was standing by the door, her face pale, her eyes wide with a confusion that was about to turn into horror. "Emily," he stammered. What are you doing here? This isn't Dad. What did you do? You dragged her into this." Jenna looked from Emily to Nathan and back to me, her sharp mind finally understanding. This wasn't an old man's random outburst. This was an ambush. "He's senile," Jenna shrieked, pointing at me, her voice rising to a desperate pitch. "Emily, tell him he's confused. He's been wandering around the office all week talking about beige condos. He's having a breakdown. Nathan, call security. Call Dr. Lee." Nathan seized on it. "That's right. Dad, you're confused. You don't know what you're saying. Look, you even dragged Emily into this. She doesn't need to see this." I almost smiled. He was still playing the part. He was still trying to use his plan B right in front of me. "Am I confused, Nathan?" I asked, my voice calm. The stupid old man was gone. "Am I confused about Apex Global Solutions? Am I confused about the $21.4 million you've washed through my company in 6 months? Am I confused?" I leaned forward, lowering my voice. "About NJ Holdings and the $2 million you and Jenna skimmed from the Russian mafia?" Emily let out a small, strangled gasp from the doorway. "Mafia?" Nathan's face went from red to a sickly mottled white. I don't know what you're talking about. You are sick. You're delusional. You're paranoid." "I am," I agreed, nodding slowly. "I'm a very stupid old man. But you know, this new technology is just so complex. Like this smart TV. Isn't it amazing what they can do?" I nodded to Mike Sullivan. Mike, my friend of 30 years who Nathan had sidelined and dismissed as past his prime, pressed a button on a remote. The massive 80-inch screen on the wall flickered to life. It wasn't a spreadsheet. It wasn't a news channel. It was Nathan. He was in his office, sitting right where he was now, but this footage was from 2 nights ago. The AV upgrade team. Done their job perfectly. The video was crystal clear. The audio was perfect. Nathan was on the phone. We couldn't hear the other side, but we could hear him. His voice was arrogant, laughing. "The old man is a ghost," my son was saying on the screen. "He's already halfway to Florida. I told you, Voronov, he won't notice a thing." By the time anyone figures out the accounting, I'll be gone and, well, let's just say the confused old man will be the only one left to answer the questions." Emily put her hand over her mouth, her eyes fixed on her brother. Jenna made a sound like she was choking. On the screen, Nathan laughed again. "Don't worry about the 10%. It's my fee for managing the old fool. He's so senile he's practically begging me to take the company. He'll sign whatever I put in front of him." Mike hit pause. The image of my son laughing at my downfall was frozen on the screen. Who is Voronov?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling. "He's a murderer, honey," I said softly, never taking my eyes off Nathan. "He's an arms dealer your brother has been laundering money for and stealing from. You! Nathan was shaking his finger pointed at the screen. "You were spying on me. That's illegal." "Is it?" Rebecca Quinn asked, stepping forward, her voice cutting through the room. "As the sole owner and CEO of this company, Mr. Stone has every right to monitor his own property, especially when he suspects an employee is committing federal crimes. That footage is perfectly admissible." "You have no proof I said that to him." Nathan screamed, his last desperate attempt. "You have no proof of what he said." "Oh, but I do, son," I said. I reached into my jacket pocket, the pocket of my frail old man suit, and I pulled out the small digital audio recorder. I hit play. The conference room was filled with my own voice. Weak, shaking, confused. "I can't do this anymore, son. This new technology, the Apex thing, it's just too much for me. My mind, it's not what it used to be. I keep forgetting things." And then Nathan's voice, smooth, confident, vile. "I know, Dad. It's okay. It's completely understandable. You've been through a lot. Don't you worry about a thing. I'll handle everything. I'll protect you." The recording clicked off. The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by Emily's open, heartbreaking sobs. Jenna stared at Nathan, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated hatred. You told me he was confused. You told me it was your idea. You let me... Oh my God." "Shut up, Jenna," Nathan roared. "It's over, son," I said. Nathan stared at me. The arrogance was gone. The confidence was gone. All that was left was the raw, cornered hatred of a trapped animal. "You!" He hissed, his voice trembling with rage. You trapped me. You played me. You lied to me." I stood up. I walked to the head of the table, to my chair, the CEO chair he had stolen. I put my hands on the back of it. "No, son," I said, and my voice was no longer weak. It was the voice that built this company, the voice that gave the orders. "You built the trap. You just got the victim wrong. You thought I was a stupid old man. You thought I was confused. But you, Nathan, you were so arrogant, so greedy, and so blinded by your own brilliance that you were the only stupid one in the room." I pointed to the papers Rebecca had placed in front of him. The confession. "Now," I said, "you will sign." Nathan spun around. He hadn't seen his sister. He stared at Emily, who was standing by the door, her face pale, her eyes wide with a confusion that was about to turn into horror. "Emily," he stammered. What are you doing here? This isn't... Dad, what did you do?" "You dragged her into this." Jenna saw her opening. She seized on it, her voice rising to a desperate pitch. "Emily, thank God. Your father is having some kind of breakdown. He's not well. He's saying terrible things. We were just trying to get him to sign his retirement papers so he can go to Florida, and he just snapped." Nathan quickly fell into line, playing the part of the concerned, protective brother. "You don't need to be here for this. Dad is..." He's very confused. He's been wandering around the office all week. We're worried about him. He's delusional. I almost smiled. He was still playing the part. He was still trying to use his plan B right in front of me. Am I confused, Nathan? I asked, my voice calm. The stupid old man was gone. Am I confused that you called me a stupid old man? Nathan's face froze. Jenna's eyes widened. Am I confused that you and Jenna were planning to have me declared incompetent? Emily let out a small gasp. What? He's lying, Emily? Jenna shrieked. He's making it up. He's paranoid. Am I? I asked. I reached into my jacket pocket, the pocket of my frail old man suit, and I pulled out the small digital audio recorder. I pressed play. The conference room was suddenly filled with their voices. Crystal clear. Jenna's voice. Are you sure he won't notice it's $5 million, Nathan? $5 million. Nathan's voice. My father is a stupid old man. He's too busy grieving Mom and planning his golf trips. He trusts me completely. He'll sign whatever I put in front of him. He won't check a thing. I pressed stop. The silence in the room was absolute. It was heavier than stone. Jenna looked like she had been shot. She was staring at the small recorder in my hand, her mouth open but no sound coming out. Nathan. Nathan was pale, a sickly mottled white. But it was Emily's reaction that broke my heart. She was staring at her brother, her hands covering her mouth. Tears were streaming down her face. She wasn't confused anymore. She was horrified. You, she whispered, and her voice was full of a pain that tore my heart out. You called him that. You said that about Dad. Emily, honey, listen, Nathan stammered, taking a step toward her. It was just talk. I was stressed. I didn't mean... Don't, Emily said, her voice shaking with a newfound strength. Don't you dare lie to me. Not anymore. Oh, the lying doesn't stop there, honey, I said. I was still standing, my voice calm. That was just the introduction. I looked at Mike Sullivan, my friend, my loyal CFO who my son had dismissed as past his prime. Mike, I said, show them. Mike nodded. He pressed a button on the remote in his hand. The massive 80-inch smart TV on the wall, the one Nathan had installed for his global presentations, flickered to life. It wasn't a spreadsheet. It wasn't a news channel. It was a bank statement. Emily's words, you called Dad that, hung in the air sharp as a shard of glass. Nathan's head snapped toward his sister. He had forgotten she was there. His face, which had been white with shock, now turned a dark, blotchy red. Jenna was frozen, her hand still on her Cartier bracelet, her mouth open. Emily, you don't understand, Nathan stammered. This is business. It's complicated. People say things. Complicated? Emily repeated, her voice shaking with a newfound strength. You called him a stupid old man. Our father. You. Oh, it's much more complicated than that, Emily, I said. I was still standing, my voice calm. The audio recording was still playing softly on my phone, hissing in the silence. I looked at Mike. Mike, show them the rest. Mike Sullivan, my friend, my loyal CFO, who my son had dismissed as past his prime, nodded. He pressed a button on the remote in his hand. The massive 80-inch smart TV on the wall, the one Nathan had installed for his global presentations, flickered to life. It wasn't a spreadsheet. It wasn't a news channel. It was a bank statement. A bank I had never heard of from the Cayman Islands. The name on the account was simple. NJ Holdings, Inc., and the balance at the bottom of the screen was clear for everyone to see. $2,150,212. Jenna made a sound. A high, thin wail like a dying animal. She stumbled backward, grabbing the edge of the conference table for support, and then her legs gave out. She collapsed into one of the expensive leather chairs. "2 million," Emily whispered, looking at me. "Dad, what? What is that?" "That, honey," I said, never taking my eyes off my son, "is the money your brother and his wife have been stealing. 10% of every dirty dollar they will shed." "Stealing!" Nathan roared, finding his voice. "It was my fee, my commission for handling the risk." "Risk?" I laughed. "You mean the risk of stealing from the Russian mafia?" "You call that a fee, I call it stupidity. I call it putting a target on this entire family, on Emily, on her children." Jenna began to sob, ugly, gasping sobs. "The lake house. Oh my God, Nathan. The lake house." "Shut up, Jenna," he snarled. "But wait," I said, holding up a hand. "There's more. Mike." Mike pressed the button again. The bank statement vanished, replaced by a new set of documents. A folder icon. It was a perfect mirror of Nathan's secret server. The folder was labeled Contingency G. Stone. What is that?" Emily asked, taking a step into the room. "That," I said, "is your brother's masterpiece. That is Plan B. That is the coffin he was building for me." Mike clicked it open. The screen filled with emails. Fake emails. Emails crafted to look like they came from my old personal account. He opened the first one. "Nathan, we need to be discreet. Use my digital signature for the Apex wire." He opened another. "Son, I'm worried about leaks. Move all new client files to a private server. I'll be the only one with access." Emily stepped closer to the screen, her hand covering her mouth as she read. "Dad, you wrote these—" "No, honey," I said. "Your brother did. He created an entire false trail to prove that I was the mastermind, that I was the one who ordered him to do it." You, Nathan was shaking his finger pointed at the screen. "You were spying on me. That's illegal." "Is it?" Rebecca Quinn asked, stepping forward for the first time. Her voice was pure ice. "As the sole owner and CEO of this company, Mr. Stone has every right to monitor his own property, especially when he suspects an employee is committing a felony. That footage is perfectly admissible." "But that's not all of Plan B, is it, Nathan?" I asked. "You didn't just need to prove I was a criminal. You needed to prove I was senile." I nodded to Mike. The final files appeared on the screen. The emails between Jenna and a Dr. Harold Lee. Emily read them aloud, her voice trembling with rage. "So worried about my father-in-law, Gregory. He forgets names. He gets confused about the new accounting software. Another incident today, Doctor. He got lost driving home." And then the doctor's reply. "Pattern of behavior. Sounds less like grief and more like the onset of senile dementia. In my professional opinion, a man in his condition should not be managing a multi-million-dollar corporation." "Stupid old man," Emily whispered, the tears now streaming down her face. "You weren't just insulting him. You were building a case. You were going to have him declared incompetent." The room was silent. The entire monstrous, perfect plan was laid bare. Nathan stared at the screen. His arrogance was gone. His confidence was gone. All that was left was the raw, cornered hatred of a trapped animal. "You!" He hissed, his voice trembling with a rage so profound it shook his entire body. You trapped me. You played me. You lied to me." I stood up. I walked to the head of the table, to my chair, the CEO chair he had stolen. I put my hands on the back of it. "No, son," I said, and my voice was no longer weak. It was the voice that built this company, the voice that gave the orders. "You built the trap. You just got the victim wrong. You thought I was a stupid old man. You thought I was confused. But you, Nathan, you were so arrogant, so greedy, and so blinded by your own brilliance that you were the only stupid one in the room. I pointed to the papers Rebecca had placed in front of him. The second briefcase. The trap. Now, I said, you will sign. I won't, he snarled. I won't sign a damn thing. You can't prove any of this. It's inadmissible. You spied on me. It's illegal. Rebecca Quinn laughed. A cold, sharp sound that cut through the tension. Inadmissible, Nathan, you really are a fool. That video taken by the CEO on company property of an employee committing a felony. That's perfectly admissible. That audio, a recording of a conversation with Mr. Stone proving his lack of intent and your conspiracy to commit fraud. Also admissible. You have no defense, you have nothing. You can't, Jenna stammered, looking at Rebecca. She was grabbing at straws. We'll get our own lawyers. We'll fight this. Please do, Rebecca said, gesturing to the phone. Call them. In the meantime, she paused and her eyes were absolutely lethal. I have 2 FBI agents sitting in the lobby. They are very, very interested in the name Voronov. They are very interested in money laundering, wire fraud, and, oh yes, arms dealing. That was it. The final move. The kill shot. Voronov, arms dealing. Emily gasped from the corner. Nathan knew what that meant. Prison. Not just a white-collar country club prison for a few years, but real prison. Federal prison. For a very, very long time. He stared at the papers. His entire future was on that table. What's in the confession? He whispered. His voice was no longer arrogant. It was the voice of a terrified, broken man. It's simple, Rebecca said, her voice crisp. You confess to wire fraud. You confess to conspiracy. You confess to the creation of 23 shell corporations for the purpose of laundering $21.4 million. You confess to forging your father's digital signature. And she pushed another document forward. You and Jenna both sign this. It's a full power of attorney transferring the entire $2.1 million balance of NJ Holdings in the Cayman Islands back to Stone Logistics. Immediately. You drain our account, Jenna shrieked, finding her voice. That's our money. It was never your money, I said, my voice like ice. It was his money. I pointed at the screen at the name Voronov. Or it was my money. It was never ever yours. And if we sign, Nathan asked, his eyes hollow. What? What do we get? You get a chance, Rebecca said. You get to avoid an immediate arrest today. You get to cooperate. I will take this confession to the U.S. Attorney's Office along with all the evidence. I will explain that you are cooperating fully. I will explain that you are willing to testify against Voronov. She leaned in. It won't save you from prison, Nathan. Nothing can do that now. You are going to prison. But it's the difference between 5 years and 25. Nathan looked at Jenna. She was staring at the floor, her entire world shattered. The lake house, the Cartier bracelet, the beige condos, all gone. And her? Nathan asked, his voice flat. She signs, Rebecca said. She gives back the money, and she agrees to testify against you if necessary in exchange for a recommendation of probation. She was an accomplice, but you, she pointed at him, were the architect. Jenna's head snapped up. Testify against him. Nathan just laughed, that same dry, hollow laugh I'd heard from myself 2 weeks ago. He looked at his wife. Of course, she gets probation. I take the fall. It's a better deal than you deserve, I said. Emily stepped forward from the corner. She hadn't spoken this whole time. Her face was streaked with tears. Nathan, she whispered, and her voice was full of a pain that tore my heart out. Just sign it. It's over. Just stop, please. That was what finally broke him. Not the video, not the FBI, not the threat of Voronov, but the look on his sister's face. The genuine, innocent, heartbroken plea. He looked down at the pen. He looked at me. You really would have let me do it, he whispered. You would have let me send you to prison. No, son, I said. I would have let you try, and then I would have destroyed you, just like I'm doing now. He picked up the pen. His hand was shaking so badly he could barely hold it. He signed the first page, then the next, and the next. Jenna watched him. Then, like a ghost, her face completely blank, she picked up her own pen and signed the Cayman Islands transfer. The money was gone. It was over. Rebecca and her notary gathered the papers. We'll be in touch, she said to Nathan. Do not leave the state. Do not contact any of your former clients. Do not access any company accounts. You are done. They walked out. Mike Sullivan was the last to leave. He stopped at the door and looked at Nathan. He didn't say a word. He just looked at him, with 30 years of disappointment. Then he closed the door, leaving the four of us alone. My family, or what was left of it. The silence in the room was absolute. The only sound was the faint hum of the air conditioning and Jenna's ragged, shallow breathing. Nathan stared at the blank TV screen. His face was no longer red with rage or white with panic. It was just empty, hollow. He looked like a man who had been completely hollowed out from the inside. Emily was still standing by the door, her arms wrapped around herself, tears streaming silently down her face. She was grieving, not for the money, not for the company, but for the brother she thought she knew, the family she thought she had. Jenna was the first one to move. Her sobbing had stopped. She was staring at Nathan, her face a mask of cold, reptilian fury. You, she hissed. Her voice was low, venomous. You idiot. You arrogant idiot. Nathan didn't even look at her. He just kept staring at the blank screen. You told me he was confused, she went on, her voice rising. You told me it was a sure thing. You told me we were rich. You. She looked down at her hands, at the Cartier bracelet, and with a sudden, violent motion, she ripped it off her wrist and threw it across the table. It skidded on the polished wood and clattered to the floor. You ruined me. Shut up, Jenna, Nathan whispered, his voice flat dead. No, she screamed. I won't shut up. You dragged me into this. You told me to write those emails to that doctor. You told me, it's fine, he'll be in a home in Boca by Christmas. You did this to us. I did this. Nathan finally turned to look at her, and his eyes were lifeless. I did this. Who was the one picking out the lake house? Who was the one demanding the bracelet? The new car? Who was the one who couldn't wait for the old man to be gone? The two of them, the vipers finally turning on each other. It was pathetic. That's enough, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it cut through their argument like a razor. They both stopped. They both looked at me. I was still standing at the head of the table, in my chair. Jenna looked at me, her eyes desperate, suddenly realizing her future was in my hands, not his. Greg, Mr. Stone, please. I didn't know. I swear. I didn't know about the mafia. I didn't know he was stealing from them. I thought he was just, moving money. I can help you. I can testify. I can tell you everything he planned. Nathan just stared at his wife, his face filled with a quiet, profound disgust. Of course you will, he muttered. I looked at Jenna. You will do what your probation agreement tells you to do, I said. And it's not me you need to convince. It's the U.S. attorney. And Greg, my son, calls me Dad. You will call me Mr. Stone until the day you die. Her face crumpled. She knew she had no allies left. Finally, I looked at my son, He was just sitting there. A 42-year-old man in a $5,000 suit, utterly defeated. Why, I asked. It was the only question I had left. It was all going to be yours, Nathan. The whole company, in 2 years. I was giving it to you. Why couldn't you just wait? Nathan looked up at me, and for the first time I saw the real him. Not the charming MBA, not the arrogant COO, not the cornered animal, just a weak, pathetic man. Because you were never going to let go, he whispered, his voice raw. You never would have. You'd always be there, in your CEO chair, looking over my shoulder, calling me son but treating me like an employee. You can't stand not being in control. He was right about that. I wanted my own, he continued. I wanted something I built, not something you gave me. And Jenna, she wanted things. She deserved things. I just wanted to be the man who could give them to her. So you stole, I said. You lied. You forged my name. And you were willing to let me go to prison, or worse, get killed to protect it. He didn't have an answer for that. He just looked down at his shaking hands. I had my answer. He was weak. He was a coward. He was so desperate to prove he was a man, he had become the worst kind of monster. I looked at Emily. She was waiting by the door, her face tear-stained, but resolute. She was the strong one. She was like her mother. It's over, Nathan, I said. You'll hear from the U.S. attorney. Your assets, your house, your cars, they will all be seized to pay back the $2 million you transferred from the company. What's left of your life is up to them. He didn't move. I put my arm around my daughter's shoulders. Come on, honey. Let's go home. There's nothing left for us here. I walked out of that conference room. I didn't look back. I left my son and his wife sitting in the ruins of the life they had tried to steal, and I walked away with the only thing that mattered. My company, my name, and my daughter. As Emily and I walked out of that conference room, I didn't look back. I felt her small, trembling hand find mine. We walked past the lobby, past Frank, who looked at us with a face full of questions I couldn't answer. We stepped out into the bright Atlanta sun, leaving the ruins of our family behind in that dark, cold room. The days that followed were a blur. Rebecca Quinn was true to her word. The FBI agents who had been waiting in the lobby quietly took Nathan and Jenna into custody for questioning. The full force of the U.S. Attorney's Office came down on Voronov's operation. The signed confession, the hard drive, and the bank records, it was an open and shut case. Nathan, facing 25 years for money laundering for a terrorist-linked organization, finally did the first smart thing he'd done in a year. He cooperated. He told them everything. He gave them names, dates, and accounts. Jenna, well. During the investigation, we learned something new. A final, pathetic twist. She was 3 months pregnant. It was a detail she had likely hidden, perhaps even from Nathan, to be used as her own plan B. Because of his cooperation, and perhaps because I spoke to the judge not as a victim, but as a father who had already lost one child, Nathan's sentence was reduced. He was sentenced to 8 years in a federal prison. Jenna, given her pregnancy and her agreement to testify against her own husband, received 3 years of probation and house arrest. She lost her license. She lost the lake house. She lost everything. The scandal was contained, but the damage was done. Stone Logistics was my name, and my name was now tied even as the victim to the mafia and a massive fraud. We lost clients. We lost nearly 30% of our business in 6 months. Our employees were terrified, looking for other jobs. I was 70 years old. I was supposed to be in Boca playing golf in a beige condo. Instead, I was back at my desk at 6 a.m. every single morning. I, Gregory Stone, the stupid old man, was back in the CEO chair. I had to work full-time, harder than I had in 20 years. I personally called every client. I flew to every warehouse. I stood in front of my employees and I told them the truth. I told them I had been betrayed, but that the company was strong, that the foundation was clean. I begged them to stay. Most of them did. Mike Sullivan stood by my side, working just as hard, helping me rebuild the books, helping me restore the trust. But I wasn't alone. A week after the signing, my daughter Emily came to my house. She found me asleep at my desk, covered in spreadsheets. She put a blanket over me. When I woke up, she was sitting in the chair opposite me, holding a cup of coffee. "I quit my job," she said simply. "What?" I was still groggy. "Honey, no. Your kids, your third graders, they'll get a new teacher," she said, her eyes just like her mother's. "But you only have one daughter, and you need help. You can't do this alone, Dad. Emily, you don't know this business. It's complex." "Then teach me," she said. "I don't have an MBA like Nathan. I don't know blockchain or logistics verticals, but I know how to work hard. And I know the difference between right and wrong. And unlike him, I'm loyal. Teach me, Dad." And so I did. For 3 years, I worked side by side with my daughter. She started in dispatch. She learned the trucks. She worked in accounting with Mike. She met every client. She didn't have her brother's slick charm, but she had something he never possessed. She had integrity. She had empathy. People trusted her. Our clients, they loved her. She saved this company. She saved me. Which brings me to today. I am 73 years old. I'm standing in the back of the same main conference room where it all fell apart. But today it's full. All our employees, our biggest clients, Mike, Rebecca. Emily is standing at the head of the table. Not as a teacher, but as the new president and CEO of Stone Logistics. I am officially retiring. For real this time. She's giving a speech. She's talking about the future, about growth, about transparency. She's brilliant. She's strong. She is her mother's daughter. My phone vibrates in my pocket. It's a notification. Not from a lawyer. It's from the prison's mail system. A new message. I open it. It's a letter. From Nathan. I haven't spoken to him in 3 years. I read the words. "Dad, I have 1 year left on my sentence. I've spent 3 years in here thinking about that day. I've thought about it every single minute. I was arrogant. I was weak. I let Jenna convince me you were the enemy. I let my greed. But that's not the point. I'm writing this to say, I was wrong. About everything. About you. You weren't a stupid old man. I was a stupid kid. I'm sorry. I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I am sorry." I close the message. I feel a tear roll down my cheek. I wipe it away. Up at the front of the room, Emily is finishing her speech. "My father built this company on one principle, trust. For a while we lost our way, but we are back. And I promise you, as long as I am in this chair, we will never forget what it means to be worthy of that trust." Everyone is applauding. Mike Sullivan is cheering the loudest. I fold my phone and put it in my pocket. My legacy, my company, it's safe. This time, it's in the hands of someone who deserves it. Thank you for listening to my story. The biggest lesson I learned from this is never underestimate the person who came before you. My son Nathan, he looked at me and all he saw was a stupid old man. He forgot that the old man built everything he was trying to destroy. Greed is a terrible disease. It made Nathan forget the value of family, of loyalty. He forgot that a true legacy isn't about money. It's about honor. In the end, I had to make the hardest choice of my life. I lost a son, but I saved my company. I saved the jobs of hundreds of employees. And my daughter Emily proved that integrity and loyalty are always worth more than any MBA. Sometimes to protect what you love, you have to make the toughest decisions even when it breaks your heart. Did you like my story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.